Sawula magazine safa indlala.
A huge shout out to the overthinkers. An overthinker. He watches the show. To the overthinkers, shout out my friend too.
Keep inspiring the next generation.
Shout out to the overthinkers. Thando kuphela. Much love.
To my overthinkers, mamela ubuchopho ngeke buphume buyakhula nizinja nikhokho yazini as overthink siya overachieve.
I'm stealing that. I've stolen that one. I've stolen it.
Good evening, everybody. How are you guys doing? First of the month. I hope you guys are good. This is, of course, the Overthinking Football Show. My name is George Mokwena. I am your host. The show airs every Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. during AFCON. And then on Fridays at 12:30, where I'm a breadwinner wami, man. I'm a breadwinner wami, the people who fund the show. The people who contribute towards the show get to come up with a topic of their own and get to run a show and have a discussion that you guys get to eavesdrop on as we have incredible discussion. Guys, Facebook is up and running as well as YouTube. So if you want to watch any of the previous episodes, we've had some incredible conversations on this here show. They are available in full on YouTube or on Facebook. While you are there, if you want to become a breadwinner, just head on over to YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join, and then for just 20 Rand a month, you'll be able to contribute towards the show. But also, cherry on top, you get to access the WhatsApp group. The WhatsApp group is where everything happens, where we speak about everything to do with football. We go back and forth, sometimes for days on end. We banter, we teach, we do a lot on that WhatsApp group with no time limit. So if you want to join it, YouTube, and then click join. Now, if you're listening to the show for the first time or you've watched the show before, there is a segment here where I open up and I let the panel come in. The panel is found on TikTok. It's the people who are watching on TikTok, and you have to be following me there and join me while I'm live while on TikTok. There's a button at the bottom of your screen that says multi-guest. Click on that button. Click on and request to jump in. I'll let you in, and we can have a conversation. We can have a conversation about football, man. Football. Anyway, guys, so back to the group. Today's topic comes directly from there. Thembinkosi Lodge leaving Pirates to go on over to Sundowns started a very interesting conversation within the group where we spoke about whether Thembinkosi Lodge is the Pirates legend. And then it started spiraling to when we asked questions about what makes a player a legend? How can you be a player? Who is a legend? What is this thing that makes people legends? And that is what I want to discuss today, because it feels as though in our more modern football, we have we don't want to call people legends. We don't want to call people legends. And I want to know from you guys, which is going to be the topic for today, how does a player become a legend? I'll ask some questions during the show, and I'll give my my ideas about what it means to be a legend and who is meant to be a legend and how do you become a legend as we go along with the show. Let's see. Already, Agent says, I'm here, I'm on time. Pirope, thank you for the follow. Stepfather says, Lodge is not a legend. Please don't confuse the kids. Stepfather, ngizovula just now. And I want us to speak about what makes players legends. That's what I want to know. So I'm going to open it straight up. And I'm going to let you guys in. Remember that you have to be following me in order to join the show. I want to hear from you guys first on this here topic. Oguti, I'm a legend. How do we decide who is a legend and who is not? Thaku says Sydney. Thaku says I'm back. I was having problems with Wi-Fi. SMD says 5 years up. You are a legend. Alejandro says, is he not a legend, bruv? Even he is a legend than Junior Kanye. Oh, okay. But I want to hear you guys. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. I'm going to open it up and let's hear from the panel that I'm going to get the first panel in. Let me just get everybody in. NDK says Lodge is not a legend. We must not get confused, says NDK. This is what I want to find out, guys. This is what I want to know from you guys. Okay, let's see. Something is happening here. Okay, Malame Kutso, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
I'm well, and how are you, Mr. OT?
Nakasha, Purekena straight Motabing. I'm gonna ask you first. Wait. I'm gonna ask you the general question first.
Wait, Mr. OT. Can Usinja bet first? I'll go after Usinja.
Oh, why are you guys changing my order now?
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Hey, okay, Usinja, with the burner. Welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
So,
How are you, Usinja?
I'm a Buccaneer. I'm feeling cold. I never knew. Feel like I got door like I saw.
I'm gonna jump you straight in, Sinje. I'm gonna ask you. He's coming. I'm gonna ask you a straight question. What makes a player a legend?
Sure. For me, what makes a player a legend is contribution to the club for a consistent time in terms of the duration of time that you are in the particular club. That's what will make you a legend, you know. In big teams like Kaizer Chiefs, Kaso, that's what will make you a legend in terms of your contribution to the club for a period, a lengthy period of time.
Okay.
So in big clubs that have big fan base like Kaizer Chiefs that make revenue, you have to have impact on and off the field. How the people that you inspire, rock that you live in the club. That's what will make you a legend. Our parades are anyone can become a legend. It's not a big deal.
Okay, CJ, wait. As a follow-up. What if I arrive at Pirates and I am a key member in a double treble winning side? Does that circumvent the contribution over a long period of time?
You said double. Double means two. You can't be a legend for two things. 2 years. No. Must be
I want
a
everything
lengthy.
on offer.
For 2 years, car. 2 years, car. Even the sundown snake in 2 years has not reproduced enough eggs. So you need to have been there for a lengthier time. Doesn't even know you. So you have to be there. At least I agree with someone that said at least 5 years. Minimum of 5 years. That's what will make you a legend. Winning treble 2 years, that doesn't. In parades, yes. Parade standards, yes, I agree. For Chiefs, no, it must be 5 years and up. Sundowns, Pirates, 2 years is fine. You are a legend. Yeah, there you are a legend. Lodge is a Pirates legend. They must not be confused. Lodge there is a listen. Lodge is a legend. There's even a song about Lodge. That's how much of a legend he is. He's there with about Jeris Kosana. That's where his level. About Lodge's name should be next to Jeris Kosana. That's how big he is. Yeah, that's very good. Parades, you don't need much. 2 years is enough in parades. Come on now, guys.
Let me go to a Sundowns fan then. Let me go to a Sundowns fan. Or let me go to, I'm gonna come all the way around. Let me go to a Sundowns fan. Agent, my brother, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I just woke up and chose violence today.
Hey, people are choosing violence. No, I'm not choosing violence.
You know what you're doing, but that's fine.
Tell me, what makes a legend?
I think this is as tricky as the GOAT debate, you know. And I think for me, there has to be classes to legends, you know, tiers or tiers, whatever it is, right? And because for me, I think there are 2 or 3 things that makes a person legendary, you know. You know, other teams can't relate to legendary statuses because they don't know anything about stars and everything, but that's fine. I won't go there. It's fine. I won't go there. Because to just say you have to play 10 years. 10 years doing what? Doing what? Doing what? What is fine? You know, because the class of 1996, I think that's my first thing, achievement, you know, the class of 1996. Like, all of them for me, especially those in the first 11, they're legends, you know. I think it becomes secondary what they did for Bafana after and what they did to clubs, just that they won our first AFCON, you know. And I believe these players, you see these players that are playing now, if they win AFCON, that's African legends.
Okay.
End of story. You know, so for me, achievements. Namakopa.
Okay.
Namakopa. Even if you scored a goal. Like it or not, And I think for me, that's that. And then obviously, not all of us will win trophies. So I think we have to consider longevity, you know. I think guys like Abo Polos must say, hey, you know, and sometimes it's a case of loyalty that makes you a legend, you know, like what Radebe did at Leeds, you know. You know, and another thing I think it's sometimes it's moments, like you can be a legend by a moment. That's why I'm not always against this time thing, you know. I know he was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know. What made him legendary was just that one goal, that the night in Munich, you know. And after that, he was a legend. He was folklore, you know. And he was not a starter, but we knew he was a good impact player, you know. So that those kind of moments made him a United legend, you know. You get. I know you're kissing him there, but he's a legend nonetheless. But and then you know there is 2 things for me. You have to be a record holder. I think if you're a record holder in a club, you're that legend, you know, especially in goals like Shasha. I think Shasha is a Sundowns legend, you know. And this one, I know certain fan base won't like it. A certain phase don't like it. But lastly, for me, that's why I put it last. When you have done an extraordinary thing, something which has never been done before, you are a legend. No player ever in the history of South African football, or any football for that matter in recent memory, has won 11 man of the matches back to back. So that makes someone a legend. I won't mention names. Thank you.
You know what you're doing. But it's fine. Keji, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
So, Dinta.
Nakimnati. Wait, Keji. What's a question here? Because I remember Kaizer Chiefs had a thing where they had legends, where they said it was legends, and Gabona Katsande Ali thing there, for example. What makes a player a legend?
It's totally a lot of different things like loyalty, also performance-wise, and I like to differ with Kunta when he says it has to be 5 years. No, even like Ronaldo at Man United. He performed there for a season or two, and he's still a legend of Man United. Besuma at Chiefs, because he broke a records in one season, he's a legend of Kaizer Chiefs. Besuma. Everywhere you go, you know that Besuma is a legend of Kaizer Chiefs. So it doesn't depend on how many years you spend, but it also to some that loyalty. Like when you talk about Thabo Moki, that loyalty is a legend of Kaizer Chiefs. He's been there for years. Like even Dr. Kumalo, he went overseas. When he came back to Chiefs. So he's that legend of Kaizer Chiefs. But Lodge, I really don't think it's a legend of any team right now. Maybe it's Sundowns. Maybe it's Sundowns. Maybe it's Sundowns. He'll be a legend because even that song say Lodge. They say Lodge going number 10, but what going in number 10?
Hey, don't be that gamer.
So far, Lodge is not yet a legend. And Pirates, it's been years that they don't have legends. And I'm sorry to say that. It's not like I hate them or what. Yeah, they are enemies, but it's been a while since they don't have any legend there. Their legend is still Jomoson. I'm sorry. So, but when it comes to legend, it takes a lot. Some of them, it's just one season wonder, you become a legend because of what you perform and what you contributed to a team that year. Even the guy, I think his agent, he says that the team now is playing for Bafana Fan. If they win us a cup now, a CAF, it's been how many years? The Arab players have failed. We had some of the best players, then they failed to win us the African Cup. We had Benny McCarthy, Steven Pinar, and they couldn't win the CAF. But now, if these ones they win it, they are our legends. Most people, most players now, most young players, they look up to them and say, "When I play for Bafana Fan, I want to win that CAF." Just like what Chembazwane did, just like Mokopa did. So when it comes to legends, it's not only about years that we spend in a team, but it also depends on the performance that we had on that team. It can be one season or even that 6 months. You can be a legend.
Okay, I'm gonna come back. I've got some questions there. Let me bring in must I let the legend speak? Baba Mthetho, Tate Mthetho, ba re ke go kenye Tate Mthetho. Ba re ke go kenye Baba Mthetho, le kae Tate Mthetho? Ah, you're right. As somebody who's been in the game 27 years, as somebody who's seen all of the legends, as somebody who's
in my 26 years in the field, I've seen it all.
to you, Baba Mthetho, as somebody who's been there, what makes a legend?
Thank you for allowing me into the space. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Legendary status is not reached by how many trophies you win. First thing is loyalty to the team that you play for. Lucas Radebe is a Leeds United legend, but he didn't win any trophy there. But he stayed there loyally for 12 years and played for them loyally for 12 years. And eventually he got what we call cult status in Leeds. Let's go back a bit. Some people define legends according to results and what they've won. Hence, football is called a game of opinions. My opinion could be that you are a legend to me for your loyalty to the club, the number of years you stayed at the club, your achievements at the club, and also the respect that you have for the badge of the club. You cannot be a legend and then at some point you had put the club into disrepute. Behavior, personal behavior, off the field. Let's leave on the field for now, off the field, and then expect me to call you a legend. Remember, if you are a personality, you must portray certain traits of being a good person. You don't have to be rich, but you need to portray a person who can be responsible in life with his behavior on the field and off the field. Somebody who cannot be dragged into unpalatable discussions off the field of play, and somebody who cannot be regarded as a delinquent. That legendary thing goes away, because now when we associate you with all the wrong things that you did and a good name the team has, the two do not come together. Now, in South Africa, people are called legends left, right, and center. I don't want to mention names and whatever, but for now, as soon as we start with bad behavior can be of your own doing, or sometimes not of your own doing. Maybe sometimes you're defending yourself as an individual by fight, defending yourself by self-defense in terms of physical defense, or you can also defend yourself by what you say and then inflict pain on other people who are listening or watching what you are saying. Example, if maybe you are convicted of a crime and you're still a football player playing, in other countries, they will not allow you to play professional football as a convicted person. It's like even when you travel to other countries, Australia is one of them, New Zealand is one of them, USA, some states won't allow you to enter if you have a criminal record or you have been convicted. Yet you're still a player that is currently playing football. I think you know what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, look at Jomo Sono. Jomo Sono started playing for Pirates at 16 years. He didn't even have a size for the boots. He played barefoot. He played with his father in the same team in 1971, before his father died at an early age of 37. Now, he played for Pirates for so long until he went abroad. But Jomo was loyal to Pirates. Jomo, on his wedding day, left his wedding to come and help Pirates beat Highlands Park at Orlando Stadium, and even scored 2 goals for that matter. Now, that's legendary. He has won so many trophies. 1980, Jomo won the Mainstay Cup with Pirates at Orlando Stadium, beating Swallows 3-2. He even scored again on that day. He stayed for Pirates when Pirates were going through the most difficult times after the split between Pirates players. Some went to Kaizer Chiefs to start Kaizer Chiefs, and Jomo remained and continued with Pirates at his young age. When Kaizer left to start Kaizer Chiefs with Ratamo Khwatleng, the judge now in Senzo Meyiwa's case, they left Pirates. Rata, Kaizer, China Ngema, Terence Mlokoti, and Dancing Shoes. They all left, and with one administrator who was killed in Springs going to fetch teenage Lada.
The Lipnen.
With the Lipnen. So those were the legendary status you reach by how you contribute to the team, how you uphold the badge of the team, how you respect, and how you keep the strength that the badge has outside and on the field and off the field. You can't just be a legend for playing and then outside you decorate the name and the reputation of the team. Here in South Africa, unfortunately, most people, they do not realize that your behavior outside the pitch is tantamount to you being somebody who carries the badge everywhere you are, because people could only know and identify you because you are playing for Kaizer Chiefs, because you're playing for Sundowns, because you're playing for Pirates, Swallows, Supersport, or whatever. If you're not playing for those teams, you would never know who you are. So because we know you through that badge you carried wherever you are, even if you are sleeping, you're still carrying that badge. See, so legends are made out of, 1, respect for the badge, for the sport, and for community. 2, for not bringing the badge and the sport into disrepute at any given time of your career. Service to the badge that you are servicing, either this team that you played for the longest time, the team that you won the most trophies at, and that makes you a bigger person. Remember, respecting the badge is more like respecting yourself, because that badge puts food on your table. That badge puts more food to other people outside of you on their tables, because people come to stadium to make money. They sell products, food, they sell memorabilia, they sell diaparo, the team, and all anything else. So with you being the man they regard as their personality, you become a legend because you represent the team well and respect the team well. I don't want to go too long. There's too many people who want to come in, I can see. And I think we can have an open discussion on the merits of becoming a legend. In my space, as an example, I've been in commentary for 26 years. Okay? And people call me a legend. They know why they call me a legend. I don't know. I don't have to justify why they call me a legend. I don't even have to ask why, because it's their own prerogative to call me a legend, as and when they wish so. So for me, it's more about what I told you yesterday. Respect the craft will respect you back. Be human and be humble all the time. And all of it come back to you and guide you through your career. And that's a legend.
Oh, now I feel like I wanted to unfair. Some of the nicknames and names you've given have made people legends, but make no mistake about it, Baba Mteto, you're a legend. Before you leave, Baba Mteto, because I have you here, I just wanted to ask you very quickly, how much power does media have? Media, the newspaper, what? How much power do they have to create the legends itself? Because we had a conversation a couple of days ago, a week ago, about legends, about goats, the goats of South Africa. And one of the points I made was that I feel that, for example, stories sa Prachomo. My dad used to tell me stories about guys from Pilkington Brothers, team ya teenage.
No. There was two. There's two Pilkington Brothers. There's one from Guatemala. It's called Pilkington. There's one from Pinville that is called Pinville United Brothers. Which one?
Pilkington, Guatemala. Springs, So he used to tell me stories about teenage Dladla, for example. And then I feel as though if Tata Jomo wasn't playing for Pirates, maybe his story doesn't get as big, if that makes sense. So how much do you think media plays into these legendary?
I'll be honest with you. The olden days media, they knew how to build characters in terms of football players, football personalities, for managers, coaches, PROs, and all that. And when things started changing and media changed as well, this word legend has been used so loosely that even people who contributed nothing to our football, but just because they kicked a ball and wear a jersey, Kaizer Chiefs or Pirates, they're just legends. That is so wrong. But in the olden days, when you spoke about legends, as an hypothetical example, take somebody like Kalamazoo Mukoni. I think you have heard about him. Kalamazoo played not too long in South Africa and then went abroad. Martin Johansen, the first player to play in the FA Cup final for a South African in England. He played there for Liverpool in the 60s. Those people were legends because of what they carried before they left. Remember at that time, it was even more difficult to have legends that were documented because apartheid did not allow us to do things the way we wanted. We had Bantu football associations where Bo Jomo started, Bo Kaizer, Bo Pepe Dire, Bo Chipamuloi, they all started there, Bo Novo Kalamazoo, Bo Martin Johansen, they all started playing in Bantu football. But their stories, some of them, were only documented by black newspapers. And that's where we created these legends. But these days, you have your own platform now, okay? And you see Tsepo Mamang playing football, Kokasi, joining Pirates, playing for 2 years at Pirates. After that, he goes into oblivion. He's a Pirates legend. Somebody else with his own space somewhere, go Twitter, or he creates his own legend. But whatever you compare, actually, where do you find legendary status between these two people? Some people will join a team, sit on the bench for longest time, and then he stayed for Pirates or Chiefs for 8 seasons and played 40 games. Then they say he's a Pirates legend. That's because he stayed at Pirates for so long. No, that's not how you define a legend. All the things that I mentioned earlier, the media in South Africa, they disregard that to determine legendary status of people. I think our media, we need to, excuse me, really need to sit down and define and give a clear definition of how do you characterize someone who is a legend and someone who is a player or a former player of football, but not a legend. Dr. Kumar is a legend at Kaizer Chiefs. Let's start from where he started. Those are just examples. People think that because if you played in the olden days, just because you played the olden days and you are now 60, 70 years now, you are a legend. You might have played in the 60s or 70s, but you were never a legend. You just played for Pirates or Chiefs for 3-4 seasons and that's it. And how do you define the legendary status? So our media, including myself in the media, because I am in the media space, we need to start defining this legend thing, especially when it comes to players. Because I feel that it's unfair to other players who have done so much for our football. Just want to make an example. You know Mthatha Bushbucks?
Yeah.
You know Mthatha Bushbucks? You know, they had players like Fezile Momo. They had some of the best players who were very loyal to Mthatha Bushbucks, like the goalkeeper, Nigel Dixon. All those players, no one is calling them legends, but they stayed at Mthatha Bucks for 10, 12, 14, 15 years. They won 3 trophies, all of them Coca-Cola Cup. And you never hear, when was the last time you had anyone talking about a player from Mthatha Bushbucks? But you see, that remark,
I was trying to think of one. The closest I could come. Not Clement Mazibugo. Lefa Kosha. Lemang happy. Yeah, okay.
Mongezi Khula. Yeah, don't leave the recent boys. Like Skoko came to Kaizer Chiefs, who came Chiefs captain. No, leave those. The cream of the crop before Skoko Bushbucks. Leonard Clement Mazibu before he came to Bushbucks, about Canary Chiefs and the Sundowns. No, leave those.
Okay.
If you go back Mthatha Bushbucks, those were legends. Some Mthatha Bushbucks and football in the Eastern Cape. But there's a guy called Samkelo Jamjam. He used to play for Bushbucks and came to Jomo Cosmos. Somebody like Mziauteti Nokwaza. You see? Yeah, those kind of players, no one's saying anything about them. Those people won Coca-Cola Cup and 3 times, for that matter. And they stayed at Bushbucks at the Independence Stadium in Umtata. The rise and fall and the rise again of Bushbucks, they were there with the manager of the team and the owner of the team, Stu Rupasia, until that team went down. And it's gone now. It's gone into oblivion. We don't know what happened to it. But the names of those players that I just counted will still remain and resonate well with people who love football in the Eastern Cape and in Umtata in particular. So those are legends. Those are legends. But the media, like I said, including myself, we're not getting it right. Right, Posa, right, Lata, right, Senior. Anyone can just wake up and say, I played for Kaizer Chiefs, I'm a Chiefs legend. When Chiefs are playing friendly, say, hey, I'm a Chiefs legend. No, that's wrong. That's wrong.
And Babam said, just while I have you, I'm sorry to the rest of the panel.
No, I've got time. Don't worry. I've got time.
I want to ask you, Babam Teto, and I want to go away a little bit from the legend thing. Do you think that some of why we're failing to create love for teams and the same love that older soccer fans have, is that also down to what you're saying now, that in terms of media, I always say here that media tells you how to feel about things. And for example, I'll give you an example here, Banyana Banyan. Banyana Banyana, we have not seen the goals Tabonata AFCON 2022, WAFCON 2022. They don't show us them repeatedly. And I feel as though we can't connect to certain teams and certain, I could say, entities as strong as we would because we don't see that much. Is it the same with these type of conversations where maybe we think of the people you've just mentioned, some other people that have come in the 90s, the early 2000s, if we saw them more, because we don't see much of our football anymore. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Look, media plays a big role in life. Whether we like it or not, media can be good, media can be bad. Remember, the word journalist, it means you are a information collector and information disseminator. You collect information and disseminate information. However, it does not give you the right to disseminate false information. Because if you disseminate false information, then you're not playing the ball with the word journalist. If you check the meaning of the word journalist, you go to a Greek dictionary or Latin dictionary, you'll see the meaning. Okay, because remember, at the end of the day, you are like a juror where you're standing and watching things happening around you and report the way you should, but in the correct manner and with truth. Very important, with truth. Now, media in the world, not in South Africa alone, in the world, it has been used to persuade the world to follow certain narratives.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, if maybe one journalist can start a rumor and say, Dr. Kumalo wants to coach Amazulu. And then in that group of company, you've got 20 journalists who cover football. And they start that narrative. What are they going to do? They're going to change the mindset of people who say, Doctor will never leave coach any team than Kaizer Chiefs. He'll only coach Kaizer Chiefs if he's called to be a coach. Then what you say, no. But I read it on the Herald. The Herald says Doctor is going to coach Amazon. And I read it again on Lihlola's Chab. They're saying, Doctor, that's a narrative already. It's created. Us as people who read those newspapers or read on Twitter or Facebook or here on TikTok, we all say, yeah, maybe. Now, a narrative has been started now. So it needs people who can follow, and then eventually somebody comes in again from the same media, but now different aspect. He says, no, Doctor is not going there. You see now there's two colluding narratives. The one says Doctor is going, the one says Doctor is not going. That's how the media captures our minds and our hearts. Because even in politics, there are politics, there's media that is pro-government. There is media that is anti-government. If you listen to news on SABC and listen to news on 702, two different things. You see, so 702 will start with push their own narrative of what they think of the government. SABC will push their own narrative or what they think about the government. It's up to you to decide which narrative do you follow. So that's the power of media. When it comes to football and this legend thing and creating legends and non-legends, the media still, we take the responsibility, because I can come and say, Tsepo Wapaletse Pirates, he's paid for Pirates between 2007 and 2010. Pirates is playing a friendly in Kronstadt against Moraka Swallows legends. We need players. Tsepo says, Lena, let's and then says, but okay, sharp, let's, I know, Ravai and Fetu, Jay-Z thing, transport thing, Dijodi thing, appearance money thing. Now he's a legend. That's why we make the mistake. We need to dig down and look for proper legends. So to answer your question, the media does play a role in giving us that false analogy about who is a legend and who is not a legend. We need to be fair and open, and don't be afraid of anyone. If you're not a legend, you're not a legend. As simple as that. You play for a team, but you're not a legend.
And then, Baba Mtsetwa, just to add on to the question as well, I think the example that I always use, and just to ask you about South African media and African media in general, You know, for the English Premiership, I'm an Arsenal fan. I know all 272 goals that Thierry Henry. I can see them in my head. They make sure to remind us every now and then, or no, here are legends. This is what they did. This is what you must know about them. In South Africa, for example, Mbesuma broke the record. I can barely remember 5 goals, and we don't get shown those things enough, and we don't see those things. Like when you speak to a lot of fans who maybe are younger, even us in relation to your generation and my generation in relation to the guys who are coming, when we speak to each other, it almost feels like these things never existed because they don't show us this. Why is it like that? That we don't, just work to remind people these things?
I think what you should remember is that our electronic media, where you can watch, not just hear, which is audio, but visual, which is television. We are limited when it comes to the scope of having companies that can deliver that. Remember, there's only SABC and MultiChoice in terms of sports shows that you can relate to. And if you look again, you find that other companies like ENCA, News 405, and whoever, it's only for bulletins. They don't have a sports show, just a bulletin. If you have a sports show, maybe it's 1 hour on a Saturday or 1 hour on a Friday, that's it. So for you to remember these things, you need visual contact with this thing, with your eyes, and see it on the telly. If you don't see it on the telly, you'll never remember it. So the question is, do we relate to all the past that has happened, or is our football now engulfed with football from Europe? That's the first thing. Europe will feed us with everything that we need because we are paying for it. They'll give it to you because you are paying for it, right? Then, after that, you look at SABC. SABC has got all the footage from before I even started commentating, from 1970 something, when Gary Bailey's father was still a commentator. When Gary Bailey went overseas to play for Manchester United in England. And from 76, that's when we went live television in South Africa. 78, the first football match was broadcast live on SABC in 1978. So from there onwards, the archives are there. But the question is, are we utilizing the archives well or not? Mbesuma came here in 2001 or 2002, around there. Okay. The question is, do we still remember how many goals he scored? You should know because you follow football. I would know because I follow football. What about a young man who hears the word Mbesuma? He has never even seen him because now he's not playing. He's playing somewhere in some small team in the first division. Okay? And we say, this guy used to score almost 25 goals in one season. You say, what? No way. Now he's playing at Uppington. Where is Uppington for that matter? See, it's because we cannot keep that legacy thing going and remind the new players that, hey, this is how you score goals. This is how they used to score goals. This is how determined they were. This is how our football was great then. One day I had Peter Drury commentating a game at Manchester United after they'd been losing, and then they won a game. And he said, on the day, he said, this is how it used to be at Old Trafford. This is how it used to feel to be a Red Devil. This is how we used to bring down the Theatre of Dreams. And Manchester had won that day. Now, recently, Ten Hag was already the manager there, okay? But you know he had a very bad spell at some point. Then they won. It was the day when Onana had those magnificent saves after a long time. And Sabajis. Okay? So, media has got to play a big role in terms of teaching the younger generation that Ace Ntweleng scored 19 goals at Derby. No one has scored more goals than Ace Ntweleng in the Derby, in the Soweto Derby. But do we show his goals when the Derby is playing? Or the week leading to the Derby? Do we show the goals are Ace? We don't. Joma scored 9 derby goals. He's the second one. Jerry Kosana is the last player to score a hat-trick at derby in 1996. Do we show those goals before the derby? No, we don't. We don't. So, who should do that? Media. We should have those build-ups to teach these young boys that Mbesuma scored so much, but he has never scored against Pirates. See, how many derbies did he play? He played so many derbies. But did he score against Pirates? No. In a derby? No. Okay, fine. Then, show us how many goals he scored when he arrived here, when he joined Kaizer Chiefs. Remember, he joined Kaizer Chiefs coming from a Zambian under-23.
And he was skinny.
Yeah. There was a tournament in Potchefstroom.
Yeah.
Four-team tournament in the under-23s. And he was in the Zambian team. That's why they saw him and then signed him from Kitwe in Zambia, the copper belt. That's where he comes from. And Mbesuma turned things upside down in the league. Yeah. Okay. And then remember, you still had Pele Nomvet. When was the last time you saw Pele Nomvet on TV?
It's been a very long time. I don't remember him recently, not since his Swallows days.
How many young players who play today in the PSL had seen Mbesuma, Pele Nomvet's goals in recent times? How many? You see, that's where the media comes in. What do we do? What do we do to show the world these things that you are asking me? So it's up to us as media to create platforms here on the street. Have a show whereby we say we're talking only legends. This month we're talking the best sharpshooters. We have Thomas who's following Mhlongwane. We've got Noel Cousins. We've got Zero Mahiro Mkhadi. We've got Jomoson. We've got all those best strikers. Fanny Matita, Moren Samorakulu, Joel Fire, Joel Mlaba. All those best. Reggie Junkies. You see, all those people who used to bang the goals like it's coming out of fashion. Let's have a show about them. Let's get the footage from SABC because they're the ones who got the footage, no one else. Because Super Sport was not there at that time. But starting from 2007, when Super Sport started showing local football, then they must help us as well. You go there and ask because they've got the rights with the PSL. You go and request, and then you play it on the streets. So that's a role that the media should play to teach us and align the younger players with what happened before. Remember, you cannot go forward without knowing where you're coming from. It's a simple analogy.
No, Baba Tete, today we're learning. Let me bring in the other guys just to hear their thoughts about this. Let me go to KG. Let me go to Alejandro.
My brother.
It's very legend because no Baba Tete you.
I don't know why Ariana say legend. Hey, Salaveta commentary ngwe kambala gorile mola. Autla roba dipelo tsa Kaizer Chiefs. Gore pelo wa ka le botlhoko tata. So I don't know why he says he's not a legend. He's a legend. So, yeah.
What do you think of this conversation?
Okay. My brother, for me, Lodge. Pirates fans might see him as a legend. So now I would say, or maybe it's an Orlando Pirate legend. People fail to differentiate the two. The difference between a club legend and a South African legend. One understand when it comes to football. There are people who think they are legends. There are people who are legends. Like for example, I can give you an example. There is a self-proclaimed legend. He's one of, I would say, one of the most listened to football analyzers. That for me is a self-proclaimed legend, always talking down on other teams. So now he might call himself a legend, but he did not do a lot at Chiefs. Like what Ubabam Tetra said, you need to be a legend on the field and off the field. One understand? So for me, Lodge is not yet there. I hope that he does wonders at Sundowns. Because if I can ask you now, what was Lodge's biggest moment in Orlando Pirates? Can you tell me?
It was the song by Maporis.
One. So then what makes him a legend? I can tell you one moment that I can remember Lodge by. It's only one. It was when he was scoring that goal for Bafana when we against Egypt. For me, that was what I can say his biggest moment. Now, how many assists does Uloch have? Angry, he was a midfielder, right? Creative midfielder, I would say. That was what he was being played. The position that was assigned to him. Then how many assists does he have? One understand? We look at those things, and then we look at the least South African legend who was playing in midfield, and then we compare his assist with Uloch. Is it close? Is it close? One understand? So, Braga, there are some self-proclaimed legends, people who call themselves, and I'm a legend. I'm a legend. But when you look at their stats, they did not actually contribute anything. I'm not saying Uloch has been saying he's a legend, but I'm just saying there are people who are, number one, self-proclaimed legend, and then number two, there are people who are really legend. So now I think maybe at Sundowns, the 5 years that he still has to pay, I think he can play maybe for 3 years or maybe 4 years. So I think maybe he might do something. But for me, I think he's an Orlando Pirates legend. When we talk about club legend, that's where you can have this conversation. But when you talk about South Africans legend, that's where it's another thing. Like Uthemba Zwane. Some people might say Uthemba Zwane is not a South African legend. Some people, I'm not saying, some people might say that, right? Let him win the AFCON. One understand. And then that's where we can say, Uthemba Zwane now, look what he did. Won so many trophies with Sundowns. And then he also won the AFCON. People will start having the conversation.
But isn't that unfair? Isn't that unfair? Because a lot of the older legends, they won the AFCON, for example, let's say, but they don't have, I don't know, the African Football League. They don't have CAF Champions League to their names. Are we being unfair to Uthemba Zwane right now? Even if he retires today, can he be considered a legend, for example?
Not for me, honestly. Uthemba Zwane is a legend, Brayaga. Let's be we must not look down on Uthemba Zwane because he did not win any national trophies. One understand? Uthemba Zwane is the legend, number one. It's not his fault that Bafana was playing bad. One understand? So it's not his fault. So we must not hold him liable. Like for example, let me give you an example outside. Erling Haaland, one understand? He's doing wonders at Man City, but you look at Norway. So we must not consider him a legend. That's what I'm saying. One understand? That's why I'm saying Uthemba Zwane to me is a legend, bruh. Look at the stats. He has special moments with Sundowns. Check what he's doing now at what's it called? Bafana, understand? Even when Hugo Bros did not pick him, people were coming. Even Kaizer Chiefs fan, Orlando Pirates fans were saying, "How come you are not picking Umshishi?" And then now he's picking Umshishi, Hugo Bros. He's seeing what Uthemba Zwane is giving. One understand? For me, Uthemba Zwane 100%, he's a legend. PSL legend. They dominated. He was there when they dominated. But now one thing that I can say, for me, Uloch, I think he's about to make waves when it comes to Sundowns because Sundowns is playing well, and then because of his style of play, he's gonna flourish at Sundowns. Mark my words. The 2 years that he has to give, or the 3 years that he's gonna have to give, he's gonna do a lot. I'm not looking down on Pirates, but now I don't remember the biggest moment of Orlando Pirates where Babam Tet was going, Lodge, wow, maybe they won a trophy. Has he ever scored in a final, make them win a final or a special moment, one understand, the game that they needed? Has he ever showed up? We look at things like that, Brian. Like I said, take the person, the midfielder that was the least. Let's say, for example, let's say top 20 in PSL. You look at the top 20 of those PSL, you look at number 20, and you look at Lodge's statistics. And then you see what's the difference there. Understand? You'll find out that legend has so many assists, Brian. Lodge doesn't even have that same number. We look at things like that. Understand? Because I think Brian, like what you Babam Tota said, another thing, media doesn't play big role. I wish there was a TV program that says South African legend or PSL legend or something like that, where they will play videos, man, clips of people like Abu Jomason or people like Abu put all the legend, Abu Fani Madida, one understand? So they must do something like that because when was the last time you saw someone saying, now when I grow up I want to be like Ujomoson? Because the media doesn't do that much. When was the last time you saw someone saying, I think I want to be like Ufani Madida? When was the last time? The media doesn't do that much. One understand? People always say, the next Ronaldo. calling themselves Messi. One understand? It's
Pele,
bad. So
Maradona.
two years come in. What? Hey, Maradona. One understand? Now I want people to grow up and say, "Ish, yes, I want to be Tembazwane." Hey, you know your passes they are like Tembazwane. You know when you move jelly, like you are so jelly, you are so energetic, like Shishi. One understand? So
Yeah.
that's where the problem is. Ukatande. I would say for him, one of the legends. I'm not saying this because I'm a Kaizer Chiefs fan, but for me, he's one of the legends in my own opinion, right? When
I'm
was the
just
last
gonna have
time?
to jump in though. Just gonna have to jump in. Just gonna have to jump in. Let me get everybody in proper. Then I want to come back because there's questions I want to ask you guys. Malome Kuto, I believe you're the last person who hasn't spoken here. How are you, my brother?
I am well, and how are you, Mr. OT?
Look, we learn every day. We learn every day.
I regret not going in 30 minutes ago.
Yeah. But tell me, what do you think of this discussion? And before you go, I just wanted to say thank you to Tatem Teto. I see he jumped off the panel. Thank you, Tatem Teto, for joining us. Malube Kutsa, go on.
Yeah, I might experience load shedding in 2 minutes, so it global transition into sharp. But anyway, let me continue. Mr. Oti, like there are different avenues. If you're asking Uto on his own, there are different avenues to becoming a legend. If we go to the word legend on its own, it just means someone with a story. Legend is story. What's the story behind you? And then, of course, once you bring it to football, everyone has a story, but then it becomes a competition that eliminates other stories. So a certain story can make you a legend at a specific team, but when you move the very same story to another team, it doesn't hold water because there are many people who've achieved the same feat. You understand? But before I continue as well, I just want to answer. Lodge has scored in the final, guys. As angry as I am at him, Lodge, at some point, he was injured. We were playing against Bloemfontein Celtics in the final. Uboy came in from the bench. Wahlakaza Celtics. Wayibula was winning the penalty. Wayikora any penalty. And then he was like, I'm done. Wapuma. He was sub. So Lodge has got in the final. Do I think he's a Pirates legend? Not necessarily. I think Lodge was a great player. And I've seen so many great players go PSL. You understand? I'll ask you about Abu Skalvik. People who would shine. Abu Rene Richards have had great games, but do we speak about them today? Not necessarily. And in the South African context, I think it's dangerous to rely on our stats. Our football, is it stats orientated? Our football on its own. Do we...
Oh, there we go. I think load shedding is hit.
Yeah, and he had points.
Yeah, he did say. Oh, Sazekon, I see. Yeah, I see there's something here.
From Wi-Fi to data. But anyway, as I was saying, so when you look at Abu Cheris Khosan, he scored in the final. I didn't watch that final, the OT, but I have the visuals of it because of that moment. And I think our agent spoke on something very similar, like Mark Williams. You can become a legend on a moment, an unforgettable moment that not only changes your life, but the entire country's kind of landscape and culture and all of that. Till today, Chisle Pirates, get your support. There's a star there on top. Ngithatha kuphi? Ngithatha ku kana ke mang Cheris Khosan. You understand? So we can go around it. There are different ways. And sometimes you can do something great kule generation, but when it comes to the next generations that follow, whatever you did then becomes forgettable. Then you're eliminated from the legend conversation. You understand? I remember during the week when we spoke about during the week or when Lodge left, I said I now understand why his number 10 has been retired. I now understand how we have reached a point where we look at players and we like, can you wear this jersey? The person who loved the team so much that he risked his family. Are you able to do that when to risk your livelihood or the whole you had an offer from Club Brugge when we don't know which you were gonna fail or not, or uzostefela every day la utshela ukuthi wena you wanna play a specific way when your predecessor, the person who wore the jersey, died for the team, literally was willing to do anything and everything for the team. You understand? So that legendary status achieved by Chomosona is untouchable right now. And when we come to Takumalu, that's why they've also retired that jersey number 15. The stuff that he did at Chiefs, the fact that he was so loyal to his Chiefs now, he went overseas and still came back to his Chiefs. I think he got to Chiefs as Ndwanenqane. So that's one legendary, that's one way of achieving in legendary status, which is more popular. And if behavior got doctor nega Babchomo is similar to that of Messi. You understand? If Barcelona is still in love with Messi, and even when he was playing for PSG, you could hear that Messi's at Barcelona. They were still working on ways which can we bring you. Imagine Messi leaves PSG, and in his press conference he says, "I can't go back to Barcelona." He's heartbroken. He's not heartbroken that he's leaving PSG. He's heartbroken that they've worked around the maths, they've done everything possible. He just can't go back to Barcelona. It's impossible. That shows you the commitment that he had to Barcelona that achieves that legendary status ahead of the likes of Abu Ronaldinho, who were super players, but they get eliminated. We put someone like Messi in the room. But let me give it to the other James.
KG, I want to ask a question. You know, when we talk about legends and we talk about GOATs and we talk about all of that, a lot of the time we hear about attacking players. How much does position play into this? Because for me, one of my greatest legends at Kaizer Chiefs, where I've watched, for example, Ke Patrick Mabedi. That's a legend for me, true legend. He should be mentioned in a lot of big conversations. But we don't hear about them. How much does your position play into this legend thing? Because I mean, it's either striker or either defend, striker or goalkeeper. It's never the guys in the striker, midfielder, goalkeeper. What defender, we don't speak about them that much outside of Bokhate.
To be a defender, you have to be extraordinary. If you think about Bocanavaro, they were extraordinary. It was not easy to pass. Bo Hadebe, it's not easy to pass. Even I think Bo Vidic go Man United, Bo Ramos Asalo go Real Madrid. So it really have to be extraordinary because most of the people are strikers, and strikers always find a way. Even the coaches, to win a game, you have to work with strikers and midfielders. You have to create. You have to dribble that stubborn defense. Whether they are strong, but once you crack them, they're no longer legends. Once there's a chance that you crack them, then they see that player like Messi who can dribble everyone. Then that's the legend because you can dribble them. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I think they are the most legends, the defenders, because they're the ones who make the legends that we are praising.
Okay.
Yeah, I think without these defenders, we won't see Messi. We won't see Ronaldo. If they were weak, everyone should have been a legend. But because these defenders are strong, that's why we have people like Messi and Ronaldo, because they can attack and they can create, they can dribble, and they can penetrate any strongest defense. I think it's about that. But because we like entertainment, and most midfielders and strikers are the ones who bring us a lot of entertainment, not defenders. Unless you play soccer and you're a defender, you will see entertainment on defending. But if you just love soccer, you'll see entertainment when it comes to attacking and dribbling and creating goals.
Okay.
So it's not easy. Yeah.
And Hendro, go, KJ.
And the other thing, there's one point that I would like to differ with Ubaba Mteto. I hope you are still here. When he says, if you come back and speak ill about the team, I really don't think so. There's people like Ronaldo who came back and speak ill about how the management is at Man United. And at some point, even Dr. Kumalo, but he didn't speak much. He says now how the teams in Kaizer Chiefs have been run is not well. It's not that you don't love them and you're no longer allegiant. You still love them, and it shows to you to say, I want this team to perform better. You're still allegiant. Whether you said ill about it, if the things they are doing right now is wrong, it's wrong. So it doesn't mean that it cancel everything that you did for the team, and it cancel our love to you as a player previous.
Alejandro, is this positional? How much do certain positions make it harder for you to be remembered as a legend, especially in South Africa?
Most only in South Africa, my brother. I would say only in South Africa, because let me give you an example. You watch this podcast, England most of the times, you'll find them debating between between Van Dijk and John Terry, who's the best legend of them all. You understand? Just them making conversations. You understand? They make podcasts when they are discussing or maybe trying to debate about who's the better legend. So it's the thing that must change in South Africa. Like you go to those podcasts in England, you find them talking about John Terry, you find them talking about Vidic, like one speaker said. You find them talking about Vidic. You find them talking about this guy, man, playing for Manchester. Always with Jamie Carragher, Bargaman, this guy, man, Gary Neville, you find them talking about those people, appreciating their effort, because I don't know if maybe like in South Africa we don't know how to analyze football. Now we also always want to make the legend out to be it's either the midfielder or the goalkeeper or the strikers. Defenders are, my brother, they are underlooked. Like nobody looks at as defenders. One understand? We normally look at midfielders and strikers. Like for example, now how come we are not having a conversation about one of the best defenders in South Africa? Now we're having a discussion about what a midfielder. Understand? I'm not saying what we're doing is wrong, but I think we are programmed that way, and then that thing must change. One understand? What if a defender comes in? And then let's say, for example, hypothetically speaking, I won't say Sundowns is good. Let me just say Umukwena. If he plays the way he's playing now, bruh, like must he not be considered a legend? Why? Because he doesn't score goals. One understand? Like my brother, this thing, we must change this mindset. We are programmed to always think the legends must score goals. One understand? And then immediately us thinking like that, it automatically says we only care about the strikers, the midfielders, and also the goalkeepers. One understand? So we must change that narrative, because I think we are being unfair, bruh. Imagine, let's say, for example, a defender comes in for Kaizer Chiefs. As bad as we are now, we are improving, but we are bad, I won't say. You understand? So as bad as we are now, let's say we buy a defender. Or let's say, for example, if I can give an example, Ed Milson, for maybe like 3 or 4 seasons, he becomes rock solid. You understand? He wins AMA 1-on-1, he wins stuff like that, and then he has special moments where Chiefs was going 1-0, they're about to win a cup, and then he comes in and then he does a goal-saving tackle, maybe gets a red card, and then Chiefs at the end of the day, they win the trophy. So he has a special moment. He helped Kaizer Chiefs win a trophy, I'm just saying. So must we not celebrate him like that? For the amount of tackles he does, winning 1-on-1, must we not celebrate him for doing such? So I think if the Englands can celebrate people like Gary Neville, Vidic, we must also do the same thing. Understand? Even in Spain, they still celebrate this guy, man, the king of red cards. This guy, man, Sergio Ramos. They still celebrating Sergio Ramos. They're still celebrating Sergio Ramos. They're still celebrating Upiol. So it's only, I think, in places like South Africa where we don't appreciate defenders, bruh. And then being a defender, Bona, it's one of the most difficult jobs, bruh. Imagine defending against players like Abu Shaluli, the pacey players like Abu Dupri, and then you do all those jobs and then nobody appreciates you. So I think, Huri, we must start appreciating defenders also, bruh. We don't appreciate defenders. Ask a person, according to you, let's say one day, my brother, I think you should start doing it. Let's say you are at a stadium, you went to a stadium, you go with your equipment, and then you ask people, who's your best defenders? Not any. All the South Africans are not gonna name out a defender. All of them will name a midfielder, a striker, or a goalkeeper. And when it comes to goalkeeper, people will name Utumeni Nkune. When it comes to the midfielder, they will talk about Abu Zwani. Nothing wrong with that. They will talk about Abu Zwani, Dr. Kumalo. They will not talk about the defenders. What about the defenders, Brayak? It must stop. And then that's the thing where it must stop 100%.
Okay. Agent, is it position based, this thing? Is there a bias towards positions? Because, for all of the years that we've watched football and played football, we'll still say Lucas Khatebe. People might bring up Abu McFish. And even in those, the star-winning team at Pirates, not many people mention Abu Machens in the conversations about legends proper. Is there positional bias in these things?
Yeah, I could see your conundrum earlier all day. A wise man says, sometimes the best thing to do is to listen, because when you speak, I'm merely reciting what you know. So yeah. But to your question, I want to give you a simple example, I know it's a midfielder, but I'll just give you a simple example. Talk of anything that you want to throw, anything, legend, discipline, longevity, moments, what, record, anything, But still, we don't have him in that conversation. Like, he's overlooked, Even when we see him on the screen there, you see him there, he's still overlooked,
I mentioned him once. Remember we did we were picking teams that I mentioned him and people were like,
Yeah, I remember, so it is positional based, excuse me. When people remember Sundowns, I'm going to speak about Sundowns, obviously. I understand Sundowns better. I'm not going to talk about Pirates and stuff. How many people remember that our captain, when we returned to our glory days, like some are trying to, people forget that Sundowns used to go 10 years, and there's 10 years, almost 10 years also in the same period, I'm not sure about Pirates, but I think if the event is coming, this one is a cycle, it has to come. But, excuse me, Ezrom, I mean, not Ezrom, but Ali Scoot, for me, he's a legend because he led us to our first title after a very long time, But people won't remember him, They're going to remember your Killers, your, Tekos, and your Pelembes, those are people that are going to remember, And people like, hey, you see these people, but anyways, I'm gonna ignore that one. But I'm not ignoring it. Hey, La Baba, Sundowns was the first team to win treble. Okay. People who support, okay. But anyways, people like Ezrom Nyandoro, they don't get the respect that they deserve, because I think they get overlooked, because of the way they play and how they play, I think even with keepers is better because you always remember moments, like Kune against Brazil and what, Neymar, blah, 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 right? But with defenders, it's super difficult. Most of the times, what people are going to remember is the bad thing, 2 months from now, or a month from now, people are going to remember that Monda was sent to the kitchen, They're not going to remember the fact that he was at some point regarded as one of the best fullbacks in the continent, So yeah, I think media and professional discipline play a role, because what are you gonna show as a highlight to as a media that this person did something good? Hence, even man of the match is very difficult for you to get it as a defender. A keeper would rather get it. So yeah, I think it helped.
Okay. Yeah, defenders only get that thing when it's tibang time and they're defending for their lives. Malume Kuto, positions. Is there a bias towards positions when we're discussing things like legends and GOATs and stuff like that? Is there an inherent bias?
Not necessarily, man, Mr. OT. I would choose to swim against the tide. And there's a TikTok video I saw that said, close your eyes, and when you open them, try and find the red things and then close them immediately. And you'll be able to spot those red things quicker than you think. So if bias will start from us, which we want to see it as if defenders are not being given props. But then you further go on to mention which our Lucas Hadebe, Abu McFish, and if you follow South African football, angazi Bafana with AP midfielder get glorify a crowd like the defenders do. I mean, like supporters do. Our Roo, Fish, Booth. You have to get there. That midfielders are running. They just play to Adlalan Bafit. They don't get motivational support. And since we're counting Okekana in this, I'll go to Pirates and count people who play in a similar position that we glorify them. Go to Orlando there and Umamelu team make bamba, Mr. OT. Those who appreciate. Some appreciator straight from deep in the midfield. I understand, Mr. OT. So sometimes we will want to confirm it because it's tempting. You understand, Mr. OT. Yeah, very. Please, after shoes, tell me. Give me. I gave you 4. Give me 3 more after shoes. Midfielders go Bafana. But anyway, let me go back to Mr. OT. And then Mr. OT, the thing about I'm a defender. If we're being honest, as people who love football, who play football, or who failed at football, it's more difficult being a striker or an attacker. Let's be honest. Most defenders are even failed attackers. It's rare to a humble phambili. Even Itumele Nkune himself, trace of words. But anyway, even Itumele Nkune himself is a failed striker. He was a striker. You understand? So for me, I would take it that goes into the psyche. Deep down, we know. Even if you're a great striker, Mr. OC, there is no coach who's going to tell you which humble valley move. Yeah. But if you are a great defender and they can see which you can bang in goals, the coach will definitely tell you which humble valley because the game is based on who scores the most goals. That's the primary objective. So we are bound to appreciate strikers.
Yeah.
We are bound to appreciate attacking players. Even Konamaju Pirates, about Dion Hoto, those guys are actually strikers, attackers, but Batalisa a move. Chico United was an attacker because people are using case with. I'm going to go ahead and prove this point. Muta was an attacker. He's now Mudi was an attacker. Davis was an attacker. Alfonso Davis. These guys, Gareth Bale is one who breaks the myth, but he gets pumping. He can't do the technical stuff. He could run, but now he can't do the technical stuff. About Daniel Alves, these are people who are actually attackers. Defending is much easier than attacking. Let's be honest, OT. When you attack, you initiate. When you defend, you react. And we know that at the bottom of our hearts, which is why we appreciate the artistry that comes with attacking. When Umesi Apula Amatota 4-5, we know how difficult that is to do. Yeah, understand.
But I think isn't it also just the narrative around the positions as well, as you're saying now? Like for example, if I score 3 goals, it's obviously it's on the scoreboard. Kamala will corner artistry, all of that. But especially in SA, in England, they'll tell you Van Dijk hasn't been dribbled past ever since. I don't hear those type of things about our players, and I want to focus on the great ones. That is like I'm so good at this thing that Escopotini, man. I may not be there, but you know.
Like I'm saying, Mr. Uti, we can choose to see it the way we want to see it. Listen, the country was up in arms fighting for Ukuliso Mutao, Mr. Uti, when he was seated. Meaning we appreciated the defensive work that he puts in.
But you didn't fight like Zwani.
We know. Actually, the fight I think was equal. The Simfunala VIP and Shaiva Naban. Simfunala, Umutao right back. He's the best right back. So many arguments were made for him. I'll go back to my team. If you can remember, I'll give you 2 defenders which till today we still appreciate. In Siabong and Cindy Sangweni, one of the best defenders, and we love them as a supporter. And Bulela John Mabizela, who didn't play much, But till today, we still rant and rave about him. We say Mabizela think on the ball. You don't even have to watch him to know how good he was. He'll tell you, tell it to you, and you will know without being blind. So I, we don't appreciate defenders, but if you go into it, you'll understand. Actually, we do appreciate defenders. When they talk about Season Tao, they'll tell you he's one of the best to go up and down. They can try, even about speak compare, we know they were defenders, even though they don't speak honestly about them. About Ronald Koeman, Sergio Ramos, Paulo Maldini, you know about
in the world.
I've even counted him. Mr. Oti, if you wanna compare in the world, let's say, even with strikers, you come short. Like the actual position. We don't glorify strikers as much. He has so many goals, such big achievements, yet we still are gonna counter his argument against other people. Against
Yeah.
Then that's not the case, because Tembazwane has been put up there ahead of Upeni with all these achievements. And I repeat, as a parting shot to the next one, defending is easier than attacking.
Okay. Guys, I'm gonna bring in a new panel. I think for me, it's always been something that has been discussed about the positions of these things. Whenever we speak about great players, a lot of the times we default to, and when we speak about the top of the line, I know we're speaking about Maldini, but nobody speaks about Maldini like they do Henry, for example. Or when we look at the Invincibles, everybody remembers Henry, maybe Vieira, nobody thinks about Tony Adams, who those guys say was incredible, but in terms of their conversations. In South Africa, for us, I feel as though so much that there's a lot of players that go under the radar. I was thinking about Hlompo Kekana, for example. Not many people mention Hlompo Kekana, Ezro Mnyandoro. When Sundowns was getting built, when Sundowns was at its peak, nobody mentions those type of players. And also another bigger deal is that a question I'm going to ask the next. No, let me save it for the next. Let me save it for the next panel. Let's see. Let me put in the next guy just for the last one. Michael says AC Milan people will tell you, tell you Maldini is a legend forever. True. Outside, that I get the legends are the guys like Dr. Kumalo. Whether you're a Chiefs fan or you're a Pirates fan or whatever, most people agree that he's a legend, right? That's the caliber that I'm speaking about. I'm not saying that others are not great players, guys. Just get me, just hear me right. I'm just saying that sometimes, guys, remember, you have to be following me in order to join. You have to be actually following me for it to go through. Let me see. Okay. Tebza, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
How's it also?
Nakimnati man Tebza, kimnati kilwani. Tell me, Tebza, what makes a legend, number one? I'm going to ask you two questions. What makes a legend, number one, in your eyes? And then number two, who are the recent legends? Let's say if we're going to do a Hall of Fame type of thing, who are the new legends from the last 10, 15 years?
For
in
our
South
country,
Africa.
in our country.
In our country.
Okay.
Doesn't necessarily have to be South African, but, you know.
Yeah. Okay, right now, I'd say for one to be considered a legend, they must have, more in different clubs, in different teams, there are different objectives. You understand, for the team. You understand, you'd find a team that avoid relegation. You understand, you'd find a team that getting to top 8 will be fine. You understand, win the league, win what go and compete for CAF and all that. You understand? So for one to be considered a legend, must have done something for the team.
Mm.
You understand? In line with their objectives. You understand?
Okay.
The loyalty of that player towards that team, the loyalty and the love for that team. You understand? Then he falls. When he retires, or even if he's still playing, he will be seen as a legend. You understand? You can mention players like John Maduka. You understand? When he was still at Bushbucks, I'm going back at Bushbucks, and he went to Celtics. He is still considered a legend because he met their targets. You understand? And then he was in love with those teams. You understand? And he played for them for a long time. He served them with dignity and pride. You understand? That's what makes a legend. You understand? You don't have to win trophies. You know where a team they get it hard to win trophies and all that. But then as long as you meet the necessary targets for that team, you understand? You will be considered a legend for that team. You understand? And for a player to be considered a legend for a country, they must have done something specific for our country as well. You understand? You understand? Let us not lower the bar, guys. You understand? If Mshishi wants to be considered a legend of South Africa, then he must. We've won CAF before. We've been to the finals before. Therefore, those players must meet those levels so that they can be remembered. You understand? If they fall short, if they believe you me, they will not be remembered. This generation won't be remembered for nothing. You understand? So a legend, you must do something. You understand?
But then let's say he doesn't win the AFCON. They've got what? There's seven leagues in a row. They've got an AFL. He wasn't I don't think he was an important player in the team that won the Star. But isn't that enough? Isn't that enough? Because
he's that key legend. Yes, Sundowns. He's a Mamelodi Sundowns legend. You understand? It's like that. Both Steven Gerrard, they are legends for Liverpool. They are not legends for the whole country. They didn't win the league. They benched them. They say that golden generation was useless. They benched them. Understand? They didn't win anything. For Rooney, they are legends for Men U. For a specific club. They didn't do anything for England. They didn't win Euros. They didn't win the World Cup. They did nothing. What did the country benefit from them?
But
nothing.
then Beckham is a legend. Didn't win anything.
Is he considered with big legends for England? Does he sit
I
in
don't
the
know. Comments, I don't know.
Nah, I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I don't believe so. You understand? If they do Akiti, maybe I might be corrected. I get it. Football is an opinion sport. You understand? That generation did nothing for England. It can be have a Hopola. They buy a Hopola as a golden generation that did nothing for them. You understand? They always say that. You understand? It's a generation of failure. You understand? They failed. They see money. You understand? So
can you give me some legends from 10-15 years South Africa before I move on, Debs? I Oscar Jaiva too much around the question.
Okay, 10-15 years. Legends. For South Africa would be like let me see. It would be yes. Yo, it's hard to yeah, Obi man. Obi man. I'd put mostly it would be Mamelodi Sundowns players and who man. Yo, it's hard. It's hard, Mr. Oti, because honestly, our football in that period has been poor. So that's why it's very difficult for us to pinpoint players.
honestly, Temba's one, he will fall in that bracket of players that have been legends for us, the likes of Bo Shabalala and Bo Teko. You understand? Yeah, those players and others. Maybe get some liberty and they'll come. I'll get a mention a more comment section. So you are not cool and. Just to touch a bit, Limota Wengela, the defenders, for why? It's because of these current defenders are not facing greater strikers. You understand? For us to say, hey, Obone Mama Ngoto let him besuma. Raintro Mama that thing, Imofale, when I say defender, a status, or come calling rock solid, Limbesuma happy. So now it's only Salulili, you understand? And he scores all of them.
He's got over 100. I think he's got more PSL goals than Shalulile currently. They've just broken into the top 5, I believe.
Yeah, but then with how many appearances, goal ratio ring.
Oksalayo, it doesn't. The goal ratio.
Okay, yeah, we can make an argument with that, but then imagine in the whole league we can only mention 2 strikers. The whole league, you understand? It's poor, so that's why our defenders here don't get recognition in PILA because of we have poor attackers. You understand? Until they do get credit, the defenders for Saliba already is getting credit. You understand? Because of how he marks. What's into conversation in tabo Vidichili or Utafika level of Vidichili Van Dijk. You understand? But then we don't get it here. Why? There are no strong attackers. You understand? That's why why defenders are not getting credit. It's because of that. That's my opinion.
Let me go to Stefan. Stefan, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Sharp, how's it?
I'm in 2 questions. What makes a legend? And who are the legends from the last 10, 15 years?
I think I want to what makes a legend. I can only give you an example because if I answer you, then I'm saying pigs and Jango because the legend is somebody who pigs because according to him, Magna legend is so if I say what makes a legend, then is pigs because I would say that what makes a legend is winning an African Cup of Nations. Basically, mention about Nabo Shaba. What did they win? So yes, pigs. I mean, according to me, a legend is a person or discipline who can manage to get season maybe about 4 or 5. Asakhumbuleka singamkhohlwanga. Ithi for me, umshishu legend. Uthanda ungathandi, umshishu legend. All those players that Kabola really hard, badlalile mfethu siyabakhumbula because bakwazi maintain a discipline none. We do have a legend in South Africa, but when it comes to a national team, if it's then there's no legend at all. Because she is 1996.
Yeah.
But Maguze Matimi, in our teams, we do have legends. About Hlompo. Hlompo is a legend. Tandunga Tande, Hlompo is a legend. They all know him in Africa. He's a legend. But Master in national team or what, then we don't have a legend in South Africa. Because should so about Dr. Kumalo, so all those guys who did it in 96, but the guys in 98 also did it. Open have a history of which even the guys in 1996 they don't have that history of scoring 4 goals in 1 game. You understand? He made a name open in 1998 AFCON. So if you say about to win, even a legend, and Maninga Makandra has even a legend. If it's not what for in because who see legend.
Well, that's why for me, even club legends, I feel like when we go and say club legends, Nakona, 10, 15 years, we're only going to mention Sundowns, Chiefs, Pirates. For example, when I ask the question. Is that not a factor, Stefan? We don't see you much.
No, well, see, the problem is we do see. I wonder if you can mention Maput. you'll know ukuthi Mabhuti is a legend Arrows. Ukhohle ukuthi uhambe waya nakiphi. But you know ukuthi Mabhuti is legend Arrows. If you go to Bloemfontein Celtic, mokhuluma ngabo Moses Pandiela, abo James Matilani, you know those guys are legend. About Taibos. If Bebe Kamuge Bloemfontein, they know it now about Taibos. You go to Swallows, Ututurupa, you'll know what is the legend of Swallows. But if you go to Pirates, you'll know which are one man managing the Pirates. You go to Amazul and etc. You'll know what those guys are managing.
Are they celebrated?
The problem is in South Africa, even the big teams that we're mentioning, Abo Pirate, they don't care. They only call you and in the games now. It's not like the teams are Persia where they will put a frame nyana where you go would say Lapana Inda Ogabanban, he did this for the team. We don't have that in South Africa. You must be honest. You go to Orlando. Orlando is just a ground that was with Pirates. There's no this thing with Mongena. It's like AC Milan who's about to and he did this for a club in 19 what. As now, I doubt what the Orlando I doubt. We're supposed to even have his stage as but I doubt it's going to this guy, we have a star because this guy he scored a wonderful goal in 1995. I doubt ukuthi Naturena Nina Thomas or something. Because the one thing I've seen in Naturena is those trophy cup and nets. Now I'm a trophy. I've never seen Umland would say this guy. I doubt. Maybe Sundowns is going to try it because Sundowns is the only team that seem to be moving to the right direction when it comes to South Africa. Those guys, they move into the right direction. They can do that. But all the teams in South Africa, they don't care. They will call you happy Chile when it's so it's happy. He'll be there as a legend. But after that, what happens? As mass. They will call you like when there's a sweater tap or MTNH what because he has won those cups. But after that, who's next? It's not like who's and die packed on this card. I was on next guy. So in South Africa, we have that thing with Tina. We take Ebola serious as a fence as a land line. We follow them, but they're not doing much because example, they are like they say some other countries they take it serious. They will be like on the day they will be lighting a candles and what. Here in South Africa, you'll see it on social media. Would say we're remembering what. On Facebook, we pirate. We remembering the guys who died. What. I can they understand. That's how they don't take it serious.
And more importantly, besides Ubakumbula, I often say on the show, Guti, Africa in general, we struggle with reminding. It's one thing, it's one thing for you guys to tell me Uchomo is a legend, Babchomo is a legend. Mara, how many games of Uchomo have you seen? How many games out of Takumalo have you seen? Or are we living on stories? Yeah, but so Tina and Nati,
to just cut you so again. I don't talk about Uchomo because I've never seen him play. Whenever I talk, I say I'll never talk about him. When you mention a legend, the Pirates, from the generation now 95, we are new. I was still young on 95, but I saw after it because each generation now 95, they went on to play up until 98, 2000. So if I mention a legend, I'll talk about Villagas, about so. But those are the guys who played for the Pirates. I know them. About Tumisango, but those are the guys that I know. I'll never talk about Uchomo because even if I go to Google now, they don't tell me anything.
Exactly.
I once went there. I asked how many goals did this guy Ongafunut is number 10 to? How many goals did he score for Orlando Pirates? I went there. I asked how many goals did Uchomo score for Orlando Pirates? Is number 10. There's nothing about Uchomo there unless is of Pella that guy was so much you know Pella is Uchomo there. Yet Lomutu is number 10. Which means finding us now which is number 15, when us now which is number 25 or one. Because banning of Abasan did something with Pirates, but Nama is still on Uchomo. We were not there, so
I
but
like
if you
the
ask
point.
now, what has it done? Nothing.
And I wanna jump in just for time's sake, and I'm gonna go to Umalume Mezi. But before I think one of the questions that I want to ask you guys is, here's Uthemba Zwane, for example. Does it hurt to Themba Zwane, and I'll let everybody answer, but does it hurt to Themba Zwane that we've seen all of Themba Zwane's games, or most of them, as you've watched? That you've seen the bad games, you've seen the mid game, you've seen the good games, and because you've got that, your idea of what Themba Zwane has done is maybe not as special, right? You look at Dr. Kumaro, for example, or Uchoboson. I don't want to say that they weren't incredible. I don't know. But when we come here and we say, yeah, no, they're the greatest, what are you basing that idea on? And when you have more information, before the season started, we had a conversation about who we think is the best coaches. And I remember I said that I can't rate Urulani now, or I can't fairly rate Urulani next to Kevin Hunt, because Urulani, with the years that he's coached, let's say he coaches this year, he wins the league, he's got the AFL. That's an incredible year, right? But because I've watched Kevin Hunt for all these years, Nala, he finished 5th, I remember. Nala against Aleni. So I've got more information, and it becomes a little bit unfair because Rulani might go on to be the most incredible coach ever, and now we've got information and I can compare them. But for a little bit of a sample size and then comparing to somebody that I've seen, that's why we don't see Themba Zwane as a legend right now. That's why. But anyway, Malume Mezi, I want to come to you. How are you? Hi, right, Baba. Tell me, what makes a legend, number one, and then number two, past 10, 15 years? I'm a legend.
The only thing we have is club legends currently. That's the only thing we have. We don't have national legends. After the 96 class, we lacked players who are willing to fight for the jersey, who are willing to die for the jersey. If you remember the Tunisia final, 96, when we won the World Cup, when we won the African AFCON, our players were fighting. They were willing to die for the jersey. If you watch the Bafana game, the second game, the second game that Bafana played, did you see that dying mentality? You didn't see that. They were just playing to be playing. I'm not judging them on that one game, but I'm judging them on the fact that all the players that we have been producing for years, they're not living up to that standard. But at the same time, the players that we had previously, 96 players, they were not living soccer. Soccer was not a job to them. It was something that they were doing for fun. Maybe the current crop of players that we're currently producing in the country, they are taking the football thingy as something that they fall back on. It's a job to them. I cannot compliment what is not complimentable. Even there's one that you're counting now. Yeah, they're good at the club level. There's something that we can point out at the club level and say they have fought for the club level. I'm here to find something that says they have done well for the Bafana. If you remember, do you remember David Nyati? How he used to marshal the defense.
Yeah.
Players like David Nyati were not good soccer players, but they had the mentality and the physique to fight for their team. Even if they lose the ball, they would rather get a red card. But with the current crop of players that we're currently producing now, they don't have the fighting mentality. The only thing they have, they like to dance. They like to dance and they like to showcase. That's the only thing they're good at. I'm even hurt. I'm even hurt by your
The photos on top. I see Junior Kanya there. He's not a Chiefs legend. He says the Chiefs legend. He's not a Chiefs legend. What did he win at Chiefs? What thing that at Chiefs that he did that everyone remembers that?
Yeah.
Chabupule, I remember Chabupule a lot. If you remember Rodman's Cup. Sheikh Kungwane. Remember Sheikh Kungwane was shouted at by our our former coach. If you remember, by our former coach, Doleza. He was shouted at. If you remember, Doleza shouted at the play at the. You see this family of mine. I get so passionate when I talk about football. I lose my mind. If you remember, Doleza used to shout at Sheikh Kungwane for showcasing. I understood him for shouting at them. Because he was a coach that believed in attacking. But then Sheikh Kungwane is still a legend because there's a lot of things he has done to make Chiefs good team. He's a Chiefs legend, but not a national legend. People are we're having a difficulty in differentiating between a club legend and a national legend. Lehwati is a club legend. Kune, he's not only a club legend, he's a national legend because he has taken Bafana to a World Cup, if you do remember. Remember when Bafana qualified for World Cup? Even if they exited quickly afterwards, where the World Cup in South Africa. No, we didn't qualify. We played in a World Cup. Yeah, we played in the World Cup, but we defended ourselves. Whether we played well or not, but we did. Our keeper did a good. Was a good keeper at the games that he played.
Okay.
Currently, we cannot compliment the defenders, because even if you go to a restaurant, you don't compliment the chef. You compliment the person who's serving you the food. We cannot compliment the defenders are the cookers of the whole game. We cannot compliment the defenders.
Okay.
Hence, the only people that shine are the waiters for the good service. That's all I wanted to say, bruh.
So do we have legends in the last 10 to 15 years?
Siyaphupha. As now, siyaphupha. Otis now, as now, siyaphupha.
No, I hear you, Malume. Let me go to... Let me go to Shugs quickly. Shugs, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, and you? How's it, Uti?
No, I'm okay. Tell me, what makes a legend? What makes a player a legend, number one? And then number two, do we have legends in the last 10 to 15 years in South Africa?
Okay, no. Firstly, let's just define the word legend. Ne? A legend is someone that is being admired by a certain portion of the, or maybe the whole, and is very famous for whatever craft that it does. So I hear a lot of people talking about all the, they bring in their own barometers into that definition. And one thing I can tell from everyone from Ekasi Lagulu, there's always a person that is known for playing football who is more popular than even a professional footballer, but the area that he stays in. That person is a legend. Ne? And then Let's go to a legend is someone that is being admired by a community for the craft that it does, and then on top of that, according to my own version, it's if someone can influence the next generation of potential footballers to say, for example, I was a huge follower of Benny McCarthy, and that was I was influenced by the game against Namibia in 1998. Before that,
The hat
I
trick
used to
game.
follow, but before that, 96, Sean Bartlett was on my list. I used to play football to be a striker. So even if I score, I have to do what Sean Bartlett used to do. But as soon as I saw Benny McCarthy from that 1998 AFCON, then everything changed from that moment. Even now, when you ask me about Benny McCarthy, I've seen all these goals that he have scored, the UEFA Champions League and all that. But to me, the moment that I fell in love with the football that this guy plays, it's legendary for me. And he influenced the game that I played. When I played, I wanted to be like the next Benny McCarthy. You know what? And when it comes to scoring, I have to do what he does. So for me, he is legendary. Because it comes to a point where you support Kaizer Chiefs. Like I used to support Kaizer Chiefs a few years ago before Cape Town City came up. So there was a derby game between Pirates and Chiefs. So I'm sure a lot of people remember where there was that overhead kick that Benny McCarthy missed on that game. I was so conflicted on that game that my team is losing, and yes, this guy is doing that incredible. Like I was standing up, like in awe of what I've just saw from that guy, of which he is my own legend, and I'm quite sure that he has influenced a lot of people and is popular for what he did. So, coming to the question of do we have legends locally? There's plenty of legends. There's plenty. It's just that we don't have to confuse. Like, for example, you talked about Jomoson. Like the details of Jomoson, you only get them from our own parents. My father have seen Jomoson play. My mother have seen Jomoson play. So those people are iconic. So there's icons and there's legends. And after some time, a person like ascend to the iconic level as ages goes by. Because like there's no one who can fill that void of that guy. There's no one who can be compared to Jomoson in South Africa. And that's why it's so difficult for people to make a direct comparison between Themba Zwane and maybe Dr. Kumalo. Because Dr. he's more of an icon than a legend in South Africa. You can't put him in the same bracket as your legends. He's up there with the creams of this country. Like you put Dr. Kumalo in the same panel with Nelson Mandela, who's Brenda Fassie. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even if after 50 years, they'll still be speaking about those people. But now, let's say we talk about, let me check, which middle fielder in the past 25 years that was very good. I think there's a lot, but you have Abotiko Mdise currently, who overshadows a lot of middle fielders before, a lot of legends that played the game before. And then you have Uspia Shabalala, of which now he has become more of an icon because of that iconic moment in a World Cup. Does it make him more legendary than other people? Maybe so, but it doesn't mean others are not legends.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
I like that point. I like that point, and I think I'm trying to go towards that point. Well, the show's about it, but I want to go towards that point that I think, and I don't want to be unfair to those players, but my thing is, it feels as though when you are in the time when you are watching somebody, right, it's so hard to place them because they're fighting mythical players. So, for example, you'll have a player now, and maybe 10 years from now, when we look back on this Sundowns team currently, and they're like, hey, these guys won 7 leagues in a row. You know, these guys did 1, 2, and 3. I think the story is going to be so much bigger than the performances of whatever team is there at that time. So I saw somebody in the comments say that Dr. Kumalo, when Dr. Kumalo was playing, people were talking about the stars of yesteryear, right? They were mentioning those guys. Maybe we didn't appreciate Doctor at that time, you know? And also it works the other way around. Maybe I can't appreciate Uchomo Sono Uprachomo as much as I should appreciate him because I haven't watched these games, you know, because I can't place him. I can't, you know.
Can I just interject there? You don't have to appreciate Jomosono. You appreciating or not appreciating him, it will never make him like devalue his iconic stature. He will always be Jomosono, whether we like it or not, whether we've seen him or we have never seen him. He will, even after 100 years, a young kid from South Africa will always know about Jomosono.
But the problem is that we'll know about them by word of mouth. Stories passed down. We won't know about them by what we know and watched, if that makes sense. Like,
it's not true.
You get me?
Hence, for me now, Jomo is not my legend, but he's an icon.
Okay.
Yeah, and icons are legendary in nature. Yeah.
For time's sake,
Let me just wrap up what you have just said about Sundowns. The time for Sundowns, it will come. Tambazwani.
Very quickly.
Might be immortalized into an iconic stature with the next generation, just like you have just alluded to. It will come that time, but for now, he is a legend. And for Pirates supporters, those who are saying Lodge is not a legend of Pirates, they're just saying it out of like their head. You know what? The same people that were crying for Lodge, the contribution, the positive contributions that Lodge has done for Pirates are noticeable, and you can even see it or hear it from the cries of Orlando Pirates. When Lodge
but time flukes. Let me bring it to what makes a legend, and do we have recent legends? Are we being unfair to recent players?
Yeah, hola Mr. OT. Sengizosheshisa nje nami Mr. OT ngoba ngiyabona isikhathi sesengishaya. But I also think you should call your fellow fans in order, Mr. OT. Basitshela ngokhune bathi basiqualify World Cup. Come on, chance. Ungadlali ngathi. Okay, for me Mr. OT, a legend like a group in sasikhuluma sithi a legend has to have a story, has to have longevity nama-stats, Mr. OT. History, uJomosona sike sithi a legend has it ukuthi uJomosona washiya umshado wakhe, isimu yakhe idliwa, he went on and make i-club yakhe yawin. Legend has it ukuthi umdogisi once intercepted iphasi wayinika uMasinga washaya igoli saya kwi-World Cup. That's all, Mr. Otsi. Legend has it ukuthi uSembazwane was bought from eKasi i-Sundowns ngo-2 million, ibhasi, i-training kit, uyangithola Mr. Otsi. And he went on to Sundowns. Sundowns is still shine for isikhathi eside, even now Mr. Otsi, uyangithola. Like mangikhuluma ngestory ngisho into kanjalo Mr. Otsi. Like legend has it ukuthi uLodge was once a Pirate fan, a Pirate player, kwaba khona like ama arguments esesuka ngala kwi Pirates going to Sundowns. Uyangithola. Legend has it ukuthi uTeko Modise once won a player of the season kwi NFD, came to EPSL, won ama player of the season twice in a row, and won nothing with the Pirates, even though I performer and cross iflow with Sundowns. Wafika wina all the trophies available with Sundowns. Uyangithola Mr. Uthi. So lokho nje kukodwa you should also make a legend, Mr. Uthi. And also a legend has it ukuthi uHlopho Kekane was hitting long range shots. Abasha the late Senzo Meyiwa from with Sundowns, even in Bafana Bafana. I'm not sure if we were playing against the Congo. That's legendary status, Mr. Oti. That's all. So, for
but
me,
then, Kolan, let me ask you a question. If Tico doesn't go to Ghana, it was at Supersport. Now it was City Pillars then Supersport. If he stays at Supersport and wins 3 players of the seasons, let's say in a row, and doesn't go to Pirates and doesn't go to Sundowns, would we still call him a legend?
Without a doubt, Mr. Oti. Without a doubt, it's a legendary status, Mr. Oti. Like omunye oshilo la kwipanel ukuthi some teams anama objectives angafani uyangithola Mr. Oti. Like i-Celtics nje mfethu. Mina I consider uSiyabonga Nkosi as a Celtics legend. Nabo Spandieli, nabo Mokoro uyangithola Mr. Oti, because the objective yabo they were able to achieve bangene ku top 8. Kufana nabo o Lebogang Mamowi from Maritzburg United. As a coach compare they bangene for the first time bangene ku top 8. So ikanjalo nje Mr. Oti.
But then the reason why I raised that Maupega, like for example, Shalulile versus Krobla, they've both entered the hundreds of goals in I believe they're on 108 or 107 respectively. But Shalulile will be spoken of a certain way since he got to Sundowns, and Krobla is not even mentioned in some of the conversations, for example.
Yeah, I think Ubaba Mthethwa uke washo earlier on ukuthi they should also take blame, because as fans we only consume information coming from them. And I also wanna blame us when Mr. Osi when it comes to Itur, because our fathers will tell us about Ujomoson. And Tina, the only responsibility for us is to tell our next generation about Uloj, about Uteko Modise, and I'll also wanna give props to Abatabadala first, because they even like outshine like the current players. So we should also learn from them. We should like tell our stories. Tina sake sabona uJabu Pule edla abantu lapha eLijomo Cosmos ngo 4-0 playing Coca-Cola Cup.
5-0.
5-0 uyangithola Mr. Oti. So yeah, fit.
Okay.
It's up to us ukuthi sikhulume ngabo Roger Fetumba, abo Ezra Mnyandoro, or Mr. Long Range Shots, even abo Bensini Mhlongo. Bensini Mhlongo is a legend. Played for Sundowns, win trophies with Sundowns, went to Pirates, wahlabi treble, double treble, but we hardly mention them, because we tend to have conversation based on information media like we don't start our own conversations, but I think we should like start our own conversation like my platform kanje. Yeah, Mr. Oti.
Last 10 to 15 years, who are the legends? We have legends.
Okay, I'll mention few Guamanyama team parts, because in Sundowns fan there'll be more from the Sundowns. Yeah, I'll say Bensini Mhlongo, 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, from 2010, let's say, from 2010 onwards, who are the legends? Do we have proper legends?
Oh, okay, Aboshaba. Mr. Oti.
Okay.
Okay, let me just say Ezra Mnyandoro. Yeah, Mr. Utsi, baningi kakhulu first.
Okay, no.
Like
No,
and another
no.
thing, Mr. Utsi,
Yeah.
and the national team legends. I chance. Hey, like I think we also have legends past U96. And Mr. Otsi, I would like to also thank Uguti what Ibafana did on their last game was legendary. The stories as Bafana weak team once beats a number one ranked team in Africa, of which Morocco.
Evidence Mahopa scored against the
Scored,
strongest team in Africa at the time. I can hear the stories.
Not so favorites. The not so fan favorites. Evident Mahop. Mr. Otsi. So even Uloch is. I still consider Uloch as Ibafana legend because Uloch once knocked out Egypt. A very strong Egypt. Usala, Mr. Otsi. So let's see about winning cup, but they've been legendary stories.
Yeah.
Involved the one on our national teams. That's what Mr. Otsi. Yeah, you can try.
Okay. No. Thank you so much, Kolani, and everybody else who joined. Look, my opinions are very simple. I think the big thing that I want to do with this platform, and the reason why I have this platform, is for us to have these conversations in greater depth. You have to, when we speak about the greats and we speak about all of that stuff, we have to then put context towards all of these things, right? For me, I don't question a lot of the legends of old. I don't question about Jomosono. I don't question about Kaizer. I don't question all those people. I just put them in a box where I go, there's so many people that are telling me that you're great, that the story must be true, but you're not, for me, that person. You're not, I don't have an emotional tie to Jomosono like that. Right, so I put them into a category where it's like, no, there's enough people saying that you're a GOAT, but also the other context we have to look at is all of the things around it. In basketball, they always say, Guti, and we can bring it back to South Africa. Back then, you had 10 people that controlled a narrative for everything. Back then, you didn't have social media. You didn't have 700 channels. You didn't have everybody becoming an analyst and doing all that stuff. So some of those narratives were even controlled to say, Yazin, Ubab Chomo did 1, 2, and 3, right? And that's the story we're going to push. That's the story that's going to be the big one. And it's not to say that the story was any less, right? But that's the story. You can look at the times when SABC had, it was only SABC that had the rights. You could only watch 2 games in a weekend. Literally, you could only watch 2 games in a weekend. So there were plenty of games where even me as an avid football watcher, most of my concept of those games comes from reading a newspaper the next day, and they told me that Hellenic beat Manning Rangers. So even when I think about that, how many moments and things did we miss strictly because of that? Just think about that. You had to choose between if there was a Pirates game playing or Chiefs game playing or a random game playing. You couldn't even watch 2 games. So how much do you know about that football outside of highlights on Soccer Zone? So it's those type of things that I want us to also, when we speak about this, also include in the conversations when you're speaking about that. Maybe I don't see Tembazwane as a GOAT player. Do you know why? It's because I've seen so many Tembazwane games. I remember the ones where he was bad. It's right now, recency biased. It's right now. I remember it. So in my head, my average for him is lower. Now, when I remember the older players, I know the good highlights. Therefore, the average will always look a little bit higher. But they had bad games. I've never heard a story of Bab Jomosono's bad games. I've never heard it. Somebody said here that there was a time when the 96 team was playing and people were complaining about team selection. Sounds very familiar. Doesn't that sound very familiar? But time also covers all of those things. That's why it's like Abo Tembazwane, we may not see them right now and think of them as being legends. But I'm telling you, 10 years from now, the story is not going to be, Tembazwane played so badly that game versus Supersport, as an example. It's going to be that team won 8 leagues in a row. Whew. And Tembazwane was the leader of that team. It's those type of things that when we have these conversations, let's have a rounded conversation. And like I said before, it even works in the other direction. Maybe I don't appreciate Upra Chomo as I should appreciate him because I don't have access to all of the games that he could have played or all of the things that he's done. I don't have access to it. Maybe if I did have access to it, I would come back here on the show and I'd be like, yo, guys, I know you can't touch him. You can't touch him. I'm sorry. Whatever you guys bring, you can't. It works both ways. And the sad part about our media, to be honest with you, the sad part about our media is that we don't get reminded. I say this so many times, guys, where we don't get reminded about things for us to remember them a certain way. We don't get reminded or shown how good it is. I made the example of, if you look at channel 202 and channel 203, just look at what happens throughout the day and look at how many times, Alan Shearer is the top goal scorer ever in the Premier League. He's the guy. They show you his goals. You see them. Oh, Thierry Henry was so amazing. He scored this many goals. There was a season when he did this. Van Nistelrooy. They all day they remind you about all those things. Tina, I can't even tell you the last time you saw Banyana's highlights for the final where they won the WAFCON continental competition. When last did you see a highlight? Let alone of the game, just them holding the trophy like this. Sundowns won in 2016, right? The CAF Champions League. We remember it, but then think about since that point, how many times have you seen highlights of the final game? This is how Sundowns played. Oh, remember when Sundowns? Remember when they did this? But all of us here can tell you about the treble winning season in Manchester United. We know it, we see it. We can tell you about some of the invincible stuff. We know it, we see it. They can tell you about Jose Mourinho when he arrived. We know it, we've seen it. We've all seen Penny McCarthy's goals for Porto, for example. Maybe not all of us, but they're accessible. That accessibility also comes into these conversations when we speak about this. And it's sad that, media, traditional media doesn't do as much. And the other side part is that SABC has the rights to these things and all of the archives and SuperSport has archives. You can't access them on YouTube. I can access all 272 goals that Henry scored. I even know the number just by going onto YouTube. And that helps in how we remember all these guys and how we do all this stuff and how we have these conversations. It's not stories. The fact that most of us here, the story we know about Bab Jomo, the story we all remember, it's not cup finals where he did all this amazing stuff. Abo Velile. Sorry, Velile. Who remember those things, right? Who have access to those things, right? And Velile, I'm sorry, but who have access to those things. The rest of us remember Ubab Chomo from a story of him leaving his wedding to go play for Pirates. One game. That's sad, guys. That's so sad. One game. That's all we know. When we say all, I mean all of us. That's all we know is one story of one wedding day. The other games are Swazi. I can't even tell you where I'd watch them or where to pull them up or where we can go see them. Even us, who have footballing platforms and proclaim to know so much about football. I can't tell you about 2 Prachomo games where you've seen it from start to finish or you've seen extended highlights. I can't tell you. And like Prachomo's too far. Guys, can you show me a place where you can see all, was it 40 goals that Mbesuma scored? Can you show me 30, 20, 10, 5? 5 of Mbesuma's goals where we can say we've got highlights of that thing. Not even the 4 matches, highlights. That's where we're behind, guys. That's where we're behind. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I've gone over by quite a bit. Tomorrow's show is a 12:30 show. 12:30 in the afternoon. It's going to be my breadwinners, the members that contribute towards the show. A perk of being one of my members is that you can there's a Friday show where it goes through WhatsApp. It's a call. They decide the topic. They speak on the topic. Outside of that, another perk is that we have a WhatsApp group where we speak all the time about football, and you have access to me and access to some of the greatest people from my platform on a 24-hour basis. Hey guys, we send hundreds of messages there sometimes. So if you want to join that, subscribe on YouTube, then click on join. And for just 20 Rand a month, you'll be able to come in and be a breadwinner, a proper breadwinner of Overthinking Football. But it's been the show. Thank you to everybody that's joined. Thank you to Ntate Mthethwa, Baba Mthethwa, for coming in and giving us a bit of an education as well about those things. It's incredible that we can have people like that, legends in their own right, who can come in and just educate us on that side. So thank you so much to him. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you to the commenters. Thank you to the people watching on YouTube and on Facebook. Guys, I'll see you guys tomorrow, 12:30.
What's up, sir?
What's up, guys?